Hi, welcome to this optional activity about pickup lines, very important life lessons. So we're going to use our understanding of galaxies and stars to come up with a pickup line. So here's my imagination. You're walking around with someone at night and you hold something out at arm's length. Why arm's length? Because we know the angular size of objects. For example, my pinky at arm's length, I know the angular size of that. It's about 1 degree. My fist is around 10. So you hold something at arm's length. For me, I'm choosing my ring. And then if you do a little bit of math, which I'll show you, you can come up with some sort of pickup line. So here's mine. So imagine I'm walking around with my wife, and then I hold up my ring at arm's length, and I ask her to look through it, and I say, look through that ring. There are more stars entering your eye through that ring than of kisses that have ever existed in the entirety of humanity. Want to change that? What a pickup line. So how did I come up with that calculation? So first, I need to calculate the number of galaxies through my ring. Number of galaxies in between my ring. In between ring. Now, I mentioned in the assignment description, you'll need 3 numbers to do that. One is the number of galaxies in the universe. And to do this, you're going to look at your calculation from last class. So here's kind of mine. Around 5 times 10 to the 10th galaxies in our universe is what we're predicting. So that's the number I'm going to use. So around 5 times 10 to the 10th galaxies. So that's a lot of galaxies. The angular area of the entire sky, this I gave to you, 41,000 square degrees. Now the angular area of my ring, this one you kind of have to guesstimate. So whatever object you choose. So I notice my ring is roughly the same size as my thumb. And I know that from here to here, my thumb, if I hold it out at arm's length, is around 2 degrees, 2 linear degrees. So imagine this is my thumb. I know that's not my thumb, but imagine it is. So this is 2 degrees. And assuming my thumb's a rectangle or a square, which I'm going to assume just to make the math a little easier, this is also 2 degrees. And again, if my thumb is kind of like my ring, then the angular area of this is going to be 4 square degrees. Okay. Again, these are rough estimates. It doesn't matter if it's right. So now I want to find the number of galaxies in between my ring. And for this, I'm just going to do some proportions. So what I'm trying to find is the question mark. I know the number of galaxies in the universe. It's 5 times 10 to the 10th. And it's going to be equal to these 2 areas. So 4 square degrees over in the entire universe, or in the entire sky, there's 41,253 square degrees. And so now I'm just going to cross multiply. And so I get 41,253 times this question mark is equal to 4 times 5 times that. If you do a little bit of math, you'll see that this is 2 times 10 to the 11th. And then to solve for the question mark, I'm going to divide both sides by 41,253. That'll cancel out. And I get this number. So I'm going to use I don't have a calculator. I left it at school, so I'm going to use a graphing program to do this. So 2e to the 11th divided by 41,253, and I get that number. So the question mark is equal to 4848132. I don't really like this. I like scientific notation. So I'm just going to write this out. The number of galaxies in ring held at arm's length is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to round a little bit. It's equal to 5 times 10 to the 6th galaxies. Okay. But if you remember my pickup line, it wasn't about galaxies, it was about stars. And in the assignment description, you'll see that I kind of gave you a hint. Each galaxy in our universe has roughly 10 to the 11th stars, roughly. This is a very rough estimate. But I'm going to use this. So that means the number of galaxies and number of stars in my ring is going to be equal to 5 times 10 to the 6 gals, times, well, I know that one galaxy has 10 to the 11th stars, roughly. So I'm going to multiply by proportion. And so when I multiply this out, I get 5 times 10 to the 17th stars. That's a lot of stars. But notice in my, and then I try to compare that number of stars to something. And so I compared it to in my pickup line, the number of kisses that ever existed in all of humanity. So how did I come up with that number? Again, I'm just using very rough estimates. So how many humans have ever existed? That was kind of my guess. How many humans have ever existed? My assumption was around 100 billion. For example, there's around, like, I don't know, 7 billion humans right now, maybe in all of human, and we have the highest population now. I think this is an overestimate number of humans that have ever existed. So 100 billion is 10 to the 11th humans. Okay. Now, how many kisses does each human have in their lifetime? Again, I was spitballing here. So average human lives for, like, I don't know, 80 years, 70 years, or actually, if I'm including all of humanity, maybe less than that, but 50 years. I don't know. So let's say like 50 years. How many kisses in a year? I don't know. Well, there's 365 days in a year, so I don't know. Let's just multiply by 1,000. That's a lot of kisses. So that is equal to 5 times 10 to the 4th kisses for one human in their lifetime. For one human. Okay. So to find the number of kisses that ever exist on humanity, I'm going to multiply these two together, and I get 5 times 10 to the 15th kisses in humanity. And you'll notice that this number here, the number of stars in between my ring, is 100 times greater than this number. So even if I'm off by a factor of 100, this is still probably a pretty good estimate. So that's where I got that calculation from. You can come up with your own. Please list your pickup line on Canvas. I'm very curious to see what you come up with. But that's about it. Enjoy your days. I know you're probably not going to be taking long walks with someone who you want to kiss, but whatever. Stay away from that person, at least for the foreseeable future. But I'm going to stop talking. Goodbye. I forget what